In 2012, an archaeological dig went underway in a public car park in Leicester. To the surprise of the nation, the remains of Richard III were discovered. This discovery was the beginning of a battle between Leicester and York as they both fought for the rights to the reburial of Richard III's remains. The living descendants of Richard III have joined a campaign, as well as a petition of 25,000, to demand that his remains be buried in York. Some historians claim that Richard actually specified he wanted his body to be buried in York.
He had planned to have a large chantry chapel at the Minster with be served by about 100 chantry chapel priests, and so although there isn't any actual written evidence that he wanted to be buried here, if you look at other late 15th century practice in Britain, in France and Spain, basically when they do that, that's where monarchs want.
Richard III's death ended decades of fighting between the houses of Lancaster and York. As the last member of the House of York to sit on the English throne, it is understandable why there was pressure to rebury Richard in his spiritual home. The general feeling in York seems to be unanimous in wanting the rights to the reburial.
Personally, I think he should be buried in York. I think because he's obviously from York, it's only fair, it's only right that he is buried here.
He's an important part of British heritage and therefore should be in his rightful place in York.
Well, he came from York, he was of the House of York. Kind of makes sense.
I think with Richard III, really, he should come up and be buried in Yorkshire. It's an absolute farce that he's in Leicester in the first place, and they're just using for tourism publicity.
I think it'd be really fantastic if Richard came back to York, because I think it would mean so much to all the children and such a strong connection to their history and the history of the town.
Join the debate on Twitter with hashtag York vs Leicester and tell us where you think Richard should be buried. Despite the massive opposition and controversial terms, at the moment Leicester appear to be winning in the battle for the reburial. Only time will tell as to whether Richard III will be reunited with the city of York. Rachel Satterthwaite, reporting for White Rose.